on the agenda for today?
All right, so I guess we should start out by saying hello and welcome to Bandage Banter. I'm Sam.
Krystal.
Oh my gosh, that was
I called
interesting.
my HMO. They said I'm paying $7,000 a night. You better get over here and give my bed head.
Let me tell you, that was a very interesting assignment. I completely was open to the realm of California nursing, which I had always heard good things about. So I was like, how can I go wrong?
Yeah.
Let me just say that tenant hospital systems are very corresponding to HCA. They cut out a lot of extra hands, and they're smart. I'll give them that. They're smart, but they are cruel. So California has a state mandated law. It doesn't matter if you're unionized or not. Med Surge gets 1 to 5. Tele gets 1 to 4. They have state mandated laws. If you disabide by this law, the hospital is charged a fine. I was told while I was there, because I was getting 5 on telemetry, and when I'm telling you telemetry, I'm meaning like fresh strokes, because this hospital was built because they built something called Leisure World right down the road. Leisure World was like an assisted living, independent living, and you had to have a hospital within so many miles of Leisure World. So the guy who was building Leisure World said, fine, I'll build a hospital. And he did.
Nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
I can
So
barely
he built
afford rent. This guy's building a fucking hospital. All right, tell me more.
So
Go ahead.
yep, he built the hospital, and at first it had like a maternity ward and all these other things, and then they slowly transitioned them because they realized that their patient population was geriatric.
Right.
So
So they
I'm
don't need all
here
that.
with my 5 practical neuro patients that are all on tele, and people are every day, the staff nurses are writing letters to the state saying that they like kind of like safe harbor in a sense, like, hey, we're not getting the proper care that we need, we're not getting our breaks, we're not getting resource nurse, we're not getting this. They were following the protocols. So the managers started coming around and asking, hey, does anybody want to pick up? And nurses are notorious. We will pick up.
Of
we
course.
we like the overtime, and we also
Right.
like to know, oh, we don't want to leave our nurses down. Like, if they're
Especially
hurting
in
that bad.
Cali, everything over 8 hours is time and a half, right?
Yes, it
Yes,
is
ma'am.
time. No. It's double time.
Double.
I think it's double time. Or is that over 16 hours is double time?
Maybe over 16.
Anyways,
And
Cali has some beautiful laws in regards to their overtime and things of that nature. So, they're walking around and asking, but I found it very odd that they were asking for this specific day. And I kept telling the staff nurses, do not pick it up. Do not pick it up. But, if you've ever had that manager, they can be really persuasive, okay? Like, come on, you want to come in and help your fellow team members. Meanwhile, they're in their freaking office, kicked back on Facebook. And the floor's drowning. The floor's on fire. Some nurse managers really irk my nerves. I've met some really amazing, astounding ones. They don't stay nurse managers very long because they can't do it, because it hurts them. It hurts them morally. But anyways, so I feel like I kept telling them, you don't pick up that day. Lo and behold, I worked that day already. I get there, and we are now 1 to 3. We all had like a crazy amount of texts. State walks in. Yep.
That's fine. Yeah.
And so State walks out. Next day, back 1 to 5. Had 2 texts for this whole entire unit of 38 patients. And this is the worst part that I heard. I was told it is cheaper to pay the fine that the California State Board of Nursing fines the hospital system for having them at 1 to 5 or whatever ratio, out of ratio, we'll go with that, than it is to pay the nurses that need to be there to work the bedside to equal that.
Bitch, I told you it's all about the money. It always is all about the money. Like, we are pouring our hearts and our souls into comforting, loving, warm blankets, ginger ale, back rubs, let me make sure you have your, we do the best we can. And at the end of the day, they want to know where your reassessments are. They want to know where your this is that. They want to know, because everything that you document, they can bill. So if you didn't have time to do what you're supposed to do as a nurse on their end, they don't make their money, you know?
Mhm.
So it's disgusting. It's just disgusting. It's
Yeah.
very sad. And I got to be honest with you, I'm a nurse 13 years. It's never been any different. So I mean, you're 5 in, working on your 6th year. Like, it's not any different than it was 13 years ago.
So let me ask you something, Krystal, because I read a Facebook comment the other day on the Travel Nurse Gypsy page, and they were saying for all the nurses who are going back staff or quitting nursing, pretty much shut the hell up. I've been a nurse for 22 years, yada, yada, yada. And someone had a really good comeback on this, and I want to hear your take on it, because they said if you've been a nurse for over 10 or older than 10 years, you most likely experienced where you got good benefits, you got decent pay for the, I guess, ratio amount of cost of living. You typically, depending on the healthcare facility that you worked for, you got free or discounted healthcare within that hospital system. A majority of the hospital systems had pay pension packages. You would get your smoke breaks, you would get your lunch break, and you had a good or a better work-life balance because more people seem to have like their families at work. Like it was truly a family back then, because it was like not everybody was moving here, there, everywhere. People kind of tended to stay near their family origin in a sense.
Right.
So I just want to get your intake on that.
So my very first nursing job, I started at $37 an hour, which is a lot of money. Even though I was in New York, that is a lot of money to start as a new nurse. I had benefits that pretty much paid for everything. You had a $20 copay. Now I'll tell you, I just became a staff nurse a couple of months ago, and mama ain't happy about it, bitch, because I pay for health insurance. And when I tell you, I went to the doctor, I paid my $20 copay, and then I got a bill for $300 because apparently the doctor cost me $500, the insurance paid $180, and now I'm responsible for the difference. That is a discount plan, motherfucker. That's not health insurance. I've never seen anything like that before in my life. So when I was a baby nurse, yeah, I could go see any doctor, pay my $20 and be done. As far as my breaks, I always got my morning smoke break, my afternoon smoke break, my lunch break, and my afternoon smoke break. So yes, the nurses that raised me into the nurse I am were nurses for 22 to 27 years. And they were in these positions for over 10 years at this hospital when they oriented me. So yes, it was very much like a family. And you actually just kind of made me feel very nostalgic about this, because you're right, it doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know,
Can I ask you, you said you worked in New York for 10 years?
I worked in New York for 8. So 5 at my first hospital and then 3 at my second hospital.
So if you were to go back there and work for 2 more years, would you get that? Like, I had a friend in nursing school who said they were going to go work in New York for 10 years because they have a program to where when you retire, they pay you $1,000 a month if you gave into.
Yes. They do
Okay.
have that. They do have that. I don't know if those years have to be consecutive or not. It does exist. Both hospitals I worked at in New York both had a pension plan. In fact, the second hospital I worked at, I was there for 3 years. And in that 3 years' time, without putting in any more than the 3% that was required, my pension grew to $47,000. So they have a very nice pension plan in New York. Now it's not union. Don't get it twisted. There are union hospitals in New York, but both of the ones I worked at were not union hospitals, but they still offered very good pension plans. I haven't heard nothing about a pension. I think the staff job I just took now has a 401k. This is my second time around, and it has $1,000 in it. So cumulatively, I've been there for 2 years almost, and it has $1,000 in it. So that just kind of goes to show you the difference
And
in.
that's why they're no longer calling them benefits anymore. They're now
They're
called
not.
enrollment elections
They're
because there's
not.
no benefit to it.
Bitch, it still cost me $400 a month for a family plan, and it covers nothing. You know, I had better insurance when I was a travel nurse, paying $250 a week. You know, like I couldn't. I went to. I need to have a sleep apnea test probably from the smoking. You know, who knows? It's $500 just for that with my insurance. I can't even. I could spend a whole nother episode talking about this shit. I can't even. I'm so disgusted with these motherfuckers.
So, and let me get your take on this as well, because I'm sorry. I'm just thinking of all these things that have come to me, and I'm like, I need clarification or the truth. I have this very dear friend, and I call her friend because she's a beautiful soul, and it's very ironic that I ran into her again at this current facility. But I previously worked at another facility in this area, and I did not have a good time. I was 8 to 1 working alongside LPNs, but they couldn't push any of the meds that were IV. Couldn't do any charting or assessment, so they could do your pretty much oral and syringe medications as far as like insulin and heparin sub-Q, but they could do pre-mixed or like already mixed IV fluids and antibiotics. But if you had to mix it, which a majority of it does because they want to save money, then I had to be the one that give it. Anyways, I worked with this person, and I recently just checked back in with them because they were having a major surgery the last time that I was here, and I was praying for them. So I recently saw them, reconnected, and they told me that they do not have insurance with this facility. Like, they work at another facility, but went to this facility because of the certain surgeon that they wanted to, like, a top surgeon worked at this hospital. So they went to that facility because of that reason. They were cleared with their medical, with their insurance prior to the surgery. And apparently there was a last minute change, and the anesthesia provider changed. And about 3 months down the road, you know, you now get like a itemized bill for your stays or whatnot.
For $10,000.
Yeah, like you get your whole itemized bill, and it gives you an estimate, but the estimate was that everything was going to be covered. Well, when they get the bill, apparently that anesthesia provider was not covered under this person's insurance plan, and now they are left to pay $47,000 for a 5-hour procedure for just anesthesia.
So, I don't know how long ago your friend's surgery was, but I will tell you that
this was within the last year.
There are 0 anesthesia providers that accept health insurance. So it doesn't matter if they pre-approve you. 0 of them accept health insurance. So what ends up happening is you get this huge fucking bill from an anesthesiologist. And what you're going to do is you're going to set it to the side, and you're going to not think about it. And eventually the insurance will work it out because you did not pick that anesthesiologist. You picked that physician. And that is the only thing your insurance requires, is that you pick the actual surgeon that's covered under your policy. And they don't tell you this. And so people will start paying that anesthesia bill, and it is not required. And why they do this is a fucking scare tactic, because health insurance is a scam, bro.
Let me tell
scam.
you, Krystal, it gets worse. She went to court because of this situation, and it was knocked down to $47,000 that will have to be paid.
Well, then insurance has changed since I fucking had a procedure. This makes me so mad. I'm gonna tell you right now, these motherfuckers needs to know who the fuck they're dealing with. This is so insane. I mean, how are you? What you're about to go under the knife? You're like, excuse me, sir. Do you ever see that commercial from the '90s where the guy rushes into the ER and they're about to like restart his heart, and he's like, wait, let's check his credit card, and they call the number, and it's like, approved. They're like, okay, resuscitate. Like, I mean, if that's not foreshadowing to what we live in right now, I mean,
And
it's disgusting.
I could
It's
not believe
absolutely
it.
disgusting.
I could not believe it when she told me. Like, my heart stopped. And if there
All
is
right, well,
anything
tell her
that
it's time to move to Mexico because for $47,000, she can go live on a beach in Bali somewhere. You
I'm
know?
like, if there's anything that I could do to help people like that, because this person is literally like the backbone of healthcare and is now back at it after this major procedure, and you're going to tell them, it just baffles me. It just is mind-boggling to me that that this is what this has become. And then I even saw, and I'm sorry, I'm probably talking a lot.
She needs a lawyer. That's what she needs. She needs a fucking
She
lawyer.
did get a lawyer.
And
That
she
and
needs a
that was
better one. She needs Morgan and Morgan. All right, the injury
calling
attorneys.
one call, that's all. Ken
I'm
Nugent.
not sponsored, but I will be if you want me to.
Yeah, and then I saw this on Good Morning. It was either Good Morning America or one of those like shows where it shows little tidbits of new stuff. And have you heard of uh oh my gosh, it's a small cute island, I guess near Mexico. Um I'm not thinking, I'm sorry, this is like my 13 hours of no sleep, work, whatever. Tamu, um,
Not the website, Timu. Not that, right?
I think that's why I'm saying that, but that's not it. It's a
Oh,
little town, a little village, island. I can't think of the name of it, but it's apparently very beautiful and a very big place where people go, and kind of like it's like a resort, all-inclusive resort.
yeah,
And these two gentlemen went on vacation there. And one of them, literally, I think it was like their first day, and I may be getting some details wrong, so I apologize if I am. It was either on their first or second day, they decided to go to the beach, and one of them was like, when you get out there and you ride the waves and you're being silly, and they got taken under by a wave, and the other one noticed they didn't come up in a certain amount of time, so they go and pull their partner out of the water, and they realize something's wrong. Well, they start trying to get the people who are there, like the hostess or the part of the resort attendants, to help them.
yeah,
And they start noticing that the attendants kind of create like a barrier around them. And they thought that they had called 911, and you could tell there was a little bit of a language barrier. And so they are waiting for help, and the gentleman tries to borrow the phone from an attendant because he's like, just something seemed really off. And the attendant goes to give him the phone, and then the director says no. And he realizes at this time that nobody's coming for help. He's been waiting for like hours, like listening to his partner in agony, screaming. And he's like, I know something's wrong, and they keep telling me help's coming, but help's not coming. And he was like, the hospital was only like 8 miles away. It shouldn't have taken this long to get the help that he needed. And ultimately, they finally get an ambulance there, and they tell him that they need $5,000 right then and there to put him in the ambulance. And then they put him in the ambulance because what else are you going to do? What else are you going to
just give me
do?
a morphine lollipop.
They
I
they
don't
put
have
him
it.
in
I don't have it. Just give me a morphine lollipop.
they put him in the ambulance. Then they take him to the hospital, and they ask for even more money to do scans and surgery. Like anytime that there was something that else needed to be done, like there was money behind it. And it was so heartbreaking listening to that story because I feel like that's how it is in healthcare. Like, no, everything that you do, just know it's going to have some fee on it somewhere associated. And just hearing that story, and the gentleman was paralyzed. He had like a cord compression, had multiple fractures in the neck, and couldn't move, and had swelling. And they had someone there in that country to do the procedure, and apparently it was not done correctly. So when they finally got to the States, they were taken care of and managed, but thankfully they were able to reverse a majority of the damage that was done, from my understanding. However, it's sad because sometimes you can experience that in the United States. You don't have to go out to another country to get that. You could potentially run into that here, sadly.
That is very sad. And I mean, for a second, I was like, whoa, thank God I have my discount plan, you know?
Yeah, I wouldn't. I would have, if that would have been me and my Jacob. I would have done everything I could to round it up, but would it have been available right then and there? No, I
Oh, ma'am.